Welcome to The Explainer. So, I want you to step back in time with me for a minute, all the way to the year 62 AH, right in the middle of the bustling city of Basra. We're going to explore the life of this truly extraordinary woman who receives the absolute most devastating news imaginable. And the thing is, her reaction to that news echoes through the centuries. We're looking at the defining moment of Muadhah al-Adawiyyah, a towering figure in 8th century Islamic scholarship and spirituality. Let's dive right into this fascinating story. Just imagine, for a second, being in her shoes. Her husband, the renowned warrior and scholar Sila ibn Asham, and her beloved son have gone out to battle. And suddenly, the news arrives at her doorstep. They have both been killed on the exact same day. I mean, how do we, as human beings, even begin to respond to the ultimate tragedy? Naturally, you'd expect absolute despair, right? The women of Basra immediately rushed over to Muadhah's home to offer their condolences, fully expecting to find a woman who was completely broken, wailing, and consumed by depression. But this is what they heard instead. When the mourning women arrived, Muadhah looked at them and calmly stated, "Welcome to you if you have come to congratulate me, but if you have come for other than that, then return." The sheer stoicism here is just breathtaking. She didn't shed a single tear of despair. She actively turned away mourners. Now, for anyone without context, this reaction might seem completely abnormal, maybe even a sign of shock or instability, but it was actually the exact opposite.
So the crucial point we really need to unravel today is, where does this level of conviction come from? How could a mother and a wife achieve an emotional resilience so impenetrable that she actually viewed the violent death of her family as a cause for congratulation? Well, to understand this, we have to look past the tragedy itself and deconstruct who Muadhah actually was. Because she wasn't just a pious widow. Her reaction was the calculated product of an immense intellectual and spiritual foundation.
Section 1. The Undisputed Scholar. You see, long before she was known for her grief, she was known for her mind. These are some serious academic credentials. In the meticulous world of early Islamic scholarship, compiling authentic sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, or hadith, was a rigorous science. And Muadhah wasn't just a participant here, she was a master. She's a trusted narrator in the two most authentic collections, Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, and her narrations are present in all 6 major hadith books. In fact, the strict hadith critic, Ibn Ma'in, gave her the ultimate grade, Thiqa Hujah, which basically means she is absolutely reliable and an undisputed proof. And that brilliantly illustrates her position in history. She acts as this central bridge between generations. On one side, her teachers include the greatest companions of the Prophet, like Aisha bint Abi Bakr and Ali ibn Abi Talib. Then, on the other side, her students are the legendary male scholars of the next generation, folks like the famous Hassan al-Basri and Abu Kalaba. Men literally traveled from all over just to sit in her study circles. She was an absolute powerhouse of knowledge in Basra. Which brings us to a really vital realization. Her incredible reaction to her family's death? It wasn't blind emotion. It was knowledge infusing her faith. Because she had meticulously studied and authenticated the texts promising paradise to martyrs, she didn't just hope those promises were true. She knew they were true, with absolute academic certainty. Her scholarship basically built an unshakable psychological armor. Section 2. The Ascetic of Ilaq.
But knowledge was only one half of the equation. To truly understand Muadhah, we have to look at the physical manifestation of her faith. 600. Now, this isn't just a random statistic. This represents the exact amount of prostrations, or rak'ahs, of prayer she meticulously performed every single day. Think about the sheer physical endurance, the stamina, and the time required to drop to the floor in worship 600 times a day. This was a physical discipline that rivaled elite athletes, but it was channeled entirely into spiritual devotion.
And the discipline didn't stop there. The historical sources note this absolutely staggering detail. For 4 decades, Muadhah refused to lift her gaze to the sky. Why? Well, because she was in a state of constant, overwhelming awe of the divine. It showcases a level of elite, almost incomprehensible spiritual focus. She was entirely detached from the distractions of the physical world around her. Let's look at how this intense discipline reshaped her daily life. Normally, we sleep at night and we eat during the day. Muadhah completely inverted this. She fasted continuously, so she postponed her food to the night. And she prayed all night, so she postponed her sleep to the daytime. She actually used to pace her house at night, reminding her soul that eternal sleep in the grave was coming, so there was simply no time to waste sleeping now. Okay, let's dive into this specific term because it really is the key to everything here. Instrumental asceticism, or ta'abud. Modern observers might see her intense fasting and her 600 prostrations and just think she was suffering for the sake of suffering. Not at all. Her asceticism was highly calculated. It was a spiritual transaction focused on a specific, identifiable objective. Basically, she was building up a spiritual balance sheet. And what exactly was that objective? Well, her own words reveal a profound motivation. When asked why she pushed herself so hard, she explained it was in the hope that he would grant me the pleasure of joining Abu al-Sahaba and his son in heaven. Abu al-Sahaba was her martyred husband. So you see, her extreme practices were anchored to a deeply relatable, universal human desire. She just missed her family, and she was using her unmatched spiritual discipline as the definitive strategy to guarantee their reunion in the afterlife. Section 3. The Teacher of Teachers. So we've seen her grief, her scholarship, and her extreme devotion. But despite all this intense asceticism, she was definitely no hermit. Her enduring historical legacy is massive. She didn't just practice ta'abud, she practically formulated the theology of it for future generations. She founded a prominent school of women ascetics right there in Basra, mentoring figures who would go on to shape Islamic spirituality. She shaped the minds of legendary male scholars like Hassan al-Basri. She wasn't just reacting to her time, she was actively architecting the spiritual and academic landscape of the 8th century.
Which brings us to a final thought I want to leave you with. When we look at how Muadhah al-Adawiyyah confronted the most devastating day of her life, armed with absolute academic certainty and an elite, relentless spiritual discipline, we really have to ask ourselves, how does her paradigm of grief challenge our modern perspectives on loss? We live in an era of quick fixes, of avoiding pain, but she leaned into the hardest moments of life with a focus that was utterly unbreakable. It's definitely something for all of us to reflect on. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.